Hello and welcome to the Prix podcast. This is our race report on this weekend's Styrian Grand Prix. Now, before we start, I'd like to get into an honourable mention. If you have been following Google Maps or any of the team's social media, I believe Mercedes mentioned this, on Google Maps from last weekend's Bottas's radio report just cutting some grass and him talking about the F1 car being better than his mower at home, someone has put a little tourist attraction marker on Google Maps saying Bottas's mowing service. So we thought we'd just, whoever's done that, give you a little mention. Thought that was good. Now, last Thursday we did our predictions for the results in quali and the race. Now we're going to compare, see how good and bad we were at predicting this. So for qualifying, I predicted Verstappen first, Hamilton second, and Bottas third. And what actually happened was Verstappen second, so that was wrong. Lewis first, and Carlos Sainz, gladly to say, because I'm a McLaren fan, third. So nothing right there. I just got Lewis and Hamilton the wrong way. Lewis and Max the wrong way round. Can't misspell his name like that, like I said. Dylan, on the other hand, Dylan, what did you say and how did you compare to real life?
I said Hamilton would get pole position, which I think was correct.
Yeah,
I said Bottas was second, but that was incorrect. And Sainz was third, which I said correctly. So it's like you too, right?
Well, lucky you got Sainz third. I would never have predicted that, but it was a wet quali, very wet quali. FP3 was rained off due to torrential rain, like Canada 2011. It was seriously that wet. But Carlos, fun fact about him, in his GP3 career, all the races he won were in the wet. So he's a little bit of a rubber duckling.
Rain master.
Now my rain master. That's better than a rubber duckling. I mean, the car it is orange, so there you go. Anyway, race predictions. Now, for the podium for me, I predicted Hamilton first, which I got right. Bottas second, and Verstappen third. So I got that bang on, perfect, which is, well, it's just nice to see. I got one thing right. Dylan, how did you do for the race results in real life?
Not as well. I said Hamilton Bottas, which was accurate, but I thought Albon might have done better. And I said he would be third. Well, he
got fourth. It wasn't close. Too bad. We just got the Red Bulls the wrong way around, where you didn't mention where Verstappen would come, but you got one of the Red Bulls on the podium. That was sadly incorrect. Now, this race, I don't know if anyone watched it. I don't watch it live. I've only seen highlights, but I followed along a little live report thing. It didn't seem as exciting as last weekend. I think some teams have nailed the reliability a bit more. I think we only got 3 DNFs, Esteban Ocon and, of course, and we'll get on to this, the 2 Ferraris. It wasn't as exciting as last week. I think it was still good. I mean, we had some exciting moments. Turn 3, turn 2, whatever you want to call it. I can't really class that little kink on the straight as turn 2, but if you want to class it as that, Leclerc going dive bomb, hit the curb, got some serious airtime. If you look at the Kimi Raikkonen on board, you can really get a good idea of that. And complete taking out Vettel's front wing and then taking out his own floor and ending both of the Ferrari's races very early on. Quite sad to see, but I think Charles Leclerc was a gentleman. He admitted it was wrong. It was a pretty horrific move for a professional racing driver to do. But what do you think, Dylan? What's your view on the Ferrari incident?
Well, when Leclerc went in for the move, I think there was a gap, but the door got shut. So he could have maybe backed out, but I don't know if there was enough time for him to back out.
I don't know if there was enough time for him to back out, yeah.
So it was a bit unfortunate. I don't know whose fault it would really be. Maybe Leclerc for being a bit too adventurous.
I'd say it was Leclerc's fault. I don't think you could put it down to a racing incident. Do you think it was exciting as last weekend?
I don't think it was as exciting. There weren't as many retirements.
Yeah, there are only 3.
I mean, the last lap battle was pretty good when
the
Norris
last lap battle was
overtook,
pretty good.
was it Ricardo and Stroll?
Yeah. I was oh, it nerve wracked me. I can't remember what lap it was on, but obviously everyone knows the pink Mercedes. The pink Mercedes with Albon and making contact round the outside of turn 4 with a pink Mercedes and Alex Albon. Ooh, that came close to last weekend, and I think at that point conspiracy theories around the paddock would be on. You know, Mercedes mission, take out Albon. Yeah, they came close. Luckily Albon didn't get punctured. He was quite lucky. Ruined Perez's front wing. Good for Norris in the end. He got P5. He seems to be anyone watch the virtual GPs, Lando bot mode engaged on the final couple of laps. What's your view on all of this, Dylan? How did you enjoy the action?
I think the battles were very good towards the end, not so much at the beginning.
Yeah, as we said, it wasn't so exciting at the beginning. Well, the Ferraris was, but yeah, it was a good race. The end, it got more dramatic. There were a couple of tense moments. I wouldn't say it was necessarily a boring race. It wasn't just. I think last week's was one of the best, and if it has the capability to match 2019 Germany and Brazil, which were my favourites, and I think big fan favourites from last year as well. So, biggest disappointment for the race? Well, two obvious things. Well, there's one obvious, the Ferraris, but I think if we're going to go on biggest disappointment each week, which we will be, we're going to constantly be saying Ferrari, 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 Ferrari. One of my disappointments was, as you well know, George Russell, P12. Well done, that man. Well done. Sadly, George Russell, P16. You know, I was really hoping that he would get 1 point. That would have just been so nice. I don't know what happened. I have a feeling he went off the track.
I think he spun.
I think he had an incident. He went off the track, yeah. But he had an incident. But he didn't cause a safety car this time. But, you know, it would have been nice if he brought out another one, make it a bit more exciting. You know, just take off that front wing next time, Russell. Do it properly if you're going to do it at all. No, I'd say George Russell was pretty disappointing. You know, I was really hoping for him to get to at least 1 or 2 points, and Carlos Sainz as well, down in P9. Don't know what happened to him there, but you know, I was hoping for a podium. That would have been nice. 2 McLaren podiums in the first 2 races. God, that would have been a good time to be a McLaren fan, and obviously the Ferraris. Now, Dylan, what are your biggest disappointments for this weekend's race?
You stole my one about Carlos. I was going to say it's a bit disappointing to see Carlos all the way down there after such a great qualifying session. He should have been better, done better.
I've got one for you if you wanna. This can you can take this one. Esteban, you know, he hasn't had a good start to the season. Ocon, whatever happened to him? I think might have had an engine failure or something. I don't think there was any contact, but you know, he came out the points while his teammate Daniel Ricciardo got P8, got four good points. I'd say that was pretty disappointing. If you want to steal that one. Also, so biggest surprise. Now, my biggest surprise was, I think it was Daniel Kvyat. He got P10. That was pretty good from the AlphaTauri. They're not looking so strong this season. I mean, Lando Norris. Now, that was a surprise. As I said, I watch it kind of on live timings and reports, and you just watch the time tick down each sector, and you're like, hang on, what? He's gaining. So he got, I think, last lap or 2, was it the last 2 laps that he overtook Ricciardo and Stroll were fighting, and he got Stroll when he went wide, and then got DRS slipstream and got them both into turn 4. I think they re-overtook and they battled for a bit, but then coming around, final 2 corners, getting on Perez with the broken front wing, who was limping home, losing heaps of time each sector. That was a pretty good surprise. The Racing Points, good showing. I wouldn't say it was such a surprise. the Renault up there. The Haas pair in 12th and 13th. That was also a surprise. What do you think, Dylan? What are your biggest surprises from this weekend's race?
My biggest surprise, well, it's not from the race, it's from the practice session. I think seeing Perez topping
the timing
the
sheets.
times in FP1 go faster than the modern Mercedes, not the pinky one, and beating.
That was pretty impressive. Got the notification.
That.
Not a little notification on your phone, and you kind of your eyes go, "Hang on, what? What?" And so the best moment from the race, last 2 laps with Lando. That was a pretty good race, and also Verstappen and Bottas, they had a good fight. I don't know at what point in the race they had a nice fight, but they did have a pretty good fight, and it was just good to watch. It's reminiscent of Silverstone 2019, Leclerc versus Leclerc versus Verstappen. That's what I was trying to say. Thinking of the name at the start, couldn't remember the name at the end of the sentence. It was lap. I can't remember what lap it was, but it was mid-race. Yeah, it was the closing laps, the end of the race. They had a good duel. That was one of the best moments. So the ending laps, they gave some of the best moments of the race. I wouldn't say it was a good moment, but it was quite nice to watch. I always like a good bit of carbon fiber disintegration. Yeah, with the Ferraris. Now, what are your best moments, Dylan?
I think Lando Norris managing to get in front of the Renault of Ricciardo and overtaking the 2 racing points was pretty spectacular. The dying laps.
Yeah, he got. If you look at the timing sheets, Lando pulled a second on Perez after overtaking him. That was in less than 2 corners. I mean, I know Perez was low down, but that seriously impressive. Anyway, so overall verdict for the race. Now, my overall verdict for the race, not the best race. We only had 2 this year. I think last time it was just so much. It's just carnage everywhere. Everyone had forgotten how to race a Formula 1 car by looks at used to the virtual GPs. It wasn't a bad race. It wasn't a brilliant race. I would just say it was a good race, and the end made it better. Now, what's your verdict, Dylan?
I agree that it wasn't as interesting as last weekend, but it was still entertaining near the end of the race.
I agree. You said all that there is to say. There wasn't much to say. I mean, it was a good race. You got the Ferrari collision. It was more of a race of a bit of strategy in there, and then the final couple laps, people got a bit bunched up and bit of contact, bit of dueling. Just made it that bit better than it was at the start. Now, I think that brings us to the end of this podcast. There is nothing more to talk about. As we said, we thought it was a perfectly good race. We're looking forward to, I think it is Hungary next year. Not next year. That'll be a long wait. We have another long wait.
This week.
Yep. Next weekend, 19th of July, we have Hungary. I always quite like Hungary. I think it's one of the hardest overtakes tracks of the year, but I find it quite fun to drive in the F1 games. Good racing there. I'm looking forward to that. Obviously, roughly Thursday, we will be bringing out our pre-race predictions. That brings us to the end. I've been Ed.
And I've been Dylan.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.